I got divorced early 2025 this year. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you asking me that day and letting me talk about it. Um, that helps a lot. Emotionally exhausting, to say the least. Got together during COVID, and then we traveled. That was my idea. I came up with this crazy idea when we weren't even married yet to go off and travel the world and just, no job or anything like that, and just enjoy life and then work on our own passion projects. In retrospect, like that was me. That was for me probably more than it was for her. I was imagining me being like this, like Aladdin and her, his Jasmine,
Swoop her up.
But I wanted this adventure.
How did you guys travel that much?
I could do it. That's the thing. Like that's how
why
I
you're Chris
travel.
Tran Travels, man.
That's Chris Tran Travels. I used to just go solo, just a backpack, just go out there, meet people, and just go to countries that a lot of people haven't even heard of.
What's your style of traveling? Like, I need a 4-star hotel, or you're cool with a bucket and just showering like this?
I like to do hostels.
Okay.
I tell people a lot. I encourage people to do hostels. There's something beautiful about meeting a group of people from around the world. The maximum experience. The maximum experience means you don't have that luxury of like a resort or a hotel to kind of buffer you from what's really happening, in the street or with daily life there. You're the bare minimum. You just have a bed, and then you got a group of random people that you just met, and then you go experience a city together. You make a bunch of friends from around the world, and if you're a big traveler, next time you might end up in one of their countries.
Yes.
And then that's it. There's nothing better than that, because now you have a local friend to show you around, and that was the most beautiful experience to me. My ex-wife, she's only been to Japan, and to me, Japan is like
that is the
easy mode.
bougie Asian country, right? Like,
even if you didn't go bougie in Japan, it's easy mode. That's like level 1 of a country that's not your own. Level 0, it's just like traveling domestically, and then level 1 is Japan. Because it's safe, it's accessible, it's popular, everyone knows Japan, all that. I think a lot of couples, they know this. A lot of couples will tell you the big test is traveling. You're out of your element, you're out of your routine. At that point, I wasn't any kind of content creator, but I thought it'd be really cool if we had, a cool travel couple channel. I was like, maybe this will pay for itself. Like that was the dream. Filming kind of got in the way of just being in the moment. Catering to her because she was going through a lot of discomfort with all that travel. At the time, I was kind of upset, because I was like, wait, you agreed to this, I was pretty clear about everything, And the more that she was upset or not happy whenever we were at a cool place, I'm just kind of like, wait, like, how are you not enjoying this? Then part 2 of that, like, journey was getting to Vietnam. Decided we're not moving, we're not going anywhere. You have this passion project you want to do. I would love to try out something different as well. My thing was still trying to be a teacher, but I wanted to open a school here, and being here also was really challenging for her. She's of Vietnamese heritage, but she doesn't really speak Vietnamese. It was difficult for her to find friends, and then she was having some trouble with getting her, projects off the ground and stuff like that. I was getting a lot of success with my stuff. Like my social media was doing well, and looking back, to be honest, I felt really resentful. I hate to use this word, but like I became the breadwinner. My mom even told me like, that's your role. You're the guy. It felt like she was trying but not really, from what I was seeing, and like I'm busting my ass like every day, making money for us, and like giving you all this space and time, and for you to like do this thing for yourself, and instead of like trying to do that, I felt like I was being like kind of, I don't know, called out for coming home, getting on my phone, or like not being attentive, and like all these things. And I was decompressed, like you just do you. Like you need to make money. And there was a bunch of other things too, but I mean that was probably the big root of it. she realized that it was really just about identity and like having something that was her own.
Yeah.
I wish her the best.
Yeah.
You know, we needed that space. We couldn't really like be friends after all of it, you know. It didn't even occur to me until pretty recently that like, man, I haven't even thought about it. You know, I was married for 4 years. And that was 4 years of my life, you know, like that's a pretty big chapter. And I didn't look back. I didn't go back to see what that was, what I learned from it, what happened, you know, what was I doing in it, you know. I just looked forward and then just like, you know, what's going on today, tomorrow, you know. And I think just recently I allowed myself to do that.
To process
You know,
it.
to process it. Little bits here and there because I'm still really busy. Super grateful for the fact that it ended very amicably. You know, really appreciate that because so many of my friends who get divorced,
It gets messy, huh?
it is terrible. You know,
It could have been nastier. So.
way nastier.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
what are your like core values now? Knowing like traveling with somebody, what are your non-negotiables if you were to get into another relationship in the future that you feel like your partner and you should both agree on before you take it to that step?
Yeah.
Because that's what all past relationships is about, right? It's about learning yourself and learning about your boundaries.
Yeah, that's a really good question because before we started traveling, our relationship was perfect. And I would use that word,
Okay.
you know, even though obviously there's no perfect relationship, you know,
Right.
and we had problems, like those problems felt like not a big deal because we were so happy with our very predictable, very, you know, safe routine back in California. And then we talked so much, you know, we were so deeply connected. But there were things about us that just didn't reveal themselves because of the environment. So once that environment changed, I kind of like reactivated my travel mode, right? And that to me is like a huge part of me,
Yeah.
you know? And then once that got reactivated, that was a clash because that's not her, you know? So I
Well,
think
what does that look like though when it's reactivated? What does Chris Tran Travel's reactivation mode mean?
doing 14 countries in 4 months, you know, like stuff like that,
Just
you know,
gung
and
ho,
then,
just-
you know, making content and like, and not just that, but like, you know, getting really deep into the culture, very curious, you know. That was another thing during the traveling that bothered me was like, you know, we'd be at a place and I'm just like so fascinated by everything, you know. I'm just like asking questions, trying to meet locals, going to museums. I'm like so curious. And when she didn't show the same, you know, enthusiasm, I was like, oh man, am I with the wrong person? What did I take from that? What advice would I give? I think that, well, first, I thought I knew myself and I thought I knew my partner, but I think the human personality is so complex. You're always in for surprises, you know? So talk often,
Yeah.
and then be open to change. Change is inevitable.
Yeah.
You know, we have to be able to pivot. So it's not really about finding someone that's like perfectly aligned with you.
Well, I mean, so you've been living in Vietnam for, remind me again, how long?
Total, I've lived here 6 years.
6 years in total.
So I lived here from 2011
Okay.
to 2015 here in Ho Chi Minh City. And then I went home for like about 7, 8 years. So pretty big gap. And then this current trip, it just went over the 2-year mark recently. Yeah.
So what advice or debunks you can give somebody who's interested in living in Vietnam or big youths or foreigners who are like, I want to live there.
Yeah.
I heard this and that, but is it true? Like, what are some things that you can think of that are like, I would check these boxes before you make that decision?
I don't really have a big checklist for that. I would say just do it. Don't think too much about it. Don't overthink. You know, obviously, it would be bad for you to come here with debt and no money and like nothing set up for yourself. I did it. I came here, you know, with like $300
Whoa.
when I was, you know, in my 20s.
That's like our parents' stories. Like, I left Vietnam to America with $300 in my pocket, right?
I did the reverse, man. My dad helped me out, He gave me some money to buy a motorbike, and that was all I needed to kind of just get me going. I hate to like crap on the profession, but like the default teach, I taught English. In terms of like a checklist, like you need this, like all of that, like man, just don't overthink it.
I like
just
that.
do it.
Don't overthink it. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. You know what? Like worst case scenario, you go home.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. That's it. We have the privilege of going back.
That's a huge privilege. Right,
How
for
would
the most
you
part.
give advice to somebody who's coming here and wants to live here, make community, make friends, find brotherhood?
My really close friends here are local Vietnamese, and they're busy. We don't hang out all the time, but we check in on each other. And like I said earlier, I find comfort in people like me, who speak fluent English and maybe like hamburgers or something. Language exchanges are also a really cool way to make friends too. When you go to a language exchange, there's local Vietnamese folks that come out, and they're there to practice English. But Vietnamese people are so friendly. Third, I don't know, man, dating apps.
Dating apps.
There's also like BFF mode on Bumble, right?
Are you dating now?
Kind of.
Kind of? Okay.
Yeah, I was single again recently, but I'm not big with dating apps, man.
Do you feel like it's another form of like doom scrolling?
Yeah, for sure. For
And then
sure.
You're trying to get validation.
Oh my God. That's such a dopamine trap, man. Dating apps is such a distraction. Like it gets you hooked on this feeling of like, oh, I matched with somebody, or like this kind of desperation, like this seeking, right?
Yeah.
And if like you're already matching with people and
you're not taking the time to make that connection with them. You're like, I want more.
Yeah, dude, you're just saying the same shit to like 9 people at the same time. I can't.
Copy and paste.
I can't live with it feels weird, man.
Wait,
I can't do that.
What's your pickup line in Vietnamese? Let's hear it.
I don't even have a pickup line. I'm so vanilla and so boring.
You gotta
dude.
just say something. You just say hello.
I just say like, em có ở Sài Gòn không?
Okay, it's a good start.
Usually,
Wait,
I'll
how
comment
far do you
on-
set your radius for you to ask if they're in Saigon? They're like
I do have the passport version or whatever, but it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, like.
So
and then you're
let's
like, okay,
role
bye.
play really quick. Let's pretend I'm a girl having my coffee, and then you want to come over and talk to me. And there's no dating apps, right? What's your pickup line? You can't ask me if I'm from Saigon because I'm here. You can't ask me that.
I'll just ask you about your drink.
Okay, that's a
It's
good
like,
one.
cái này uống được không em?
Không,
cái
không
này
được.
không được hả?
Không.
Ủa tại sao vậy?
Dở quá.
Ồ, vậy hả? Vậy sao em gọi em chí?
Tại vì vậy thôi, không có món đây.
Anh biết một món rất là đặc biệt để
Yeah.
anh gọi cho em nha. Để
Ờ.
anh giới thiệu cho em một món.
Cái đó gì vậy?
Cái này là cà phê sữa đá.
Em
nhưng mà
muốn uống
ít,
sữa
ít,
được.
ít sữa thôi.
Không bị đau bụng.
Ồ vậy hả? Mình có nhiều lựa chọn. Để
Yeah.
anh chọn một.
Em thích là út milk.
Em ở đây không có, nhưng mà anh có một chỗ anh thấy rất là ngon á. Nó cũng gần đây. Hay là
Vậy
bữa
không?
nào anh mời em đi.
Được. Anh có Zalo không?
Đương nhiên.
There you go. That's how you pick up somebody.
Not a sure thing, right?
Get away from me, creep.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't say I have a lot of Rizz or game or anything like that. I'm so like just normal, and I like deep talks, man.
Yeah.
I don't like Rizz and pickup lines and stuff. I do remember this situation I had with my ex a long time ago. She was local Vietnamese, where I tried to kind of use cute English with her, and she spoke English, but obviously not as a native speaker. And it was like a few weeks into seeing each other, and I was like, I like you. And she got angry.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she's like, what? You just like me? I was like, no, it's like a cute thing, And she's like, what? Really? That's how you feel about me? You just like me? And then she she got pissed, right? And I was like, oh my God, like, you can't do basic humor,
Wait,
if
so
you
what,
have like
what
a
was she
language gap.
expecting besides you like her? You have
Love
to love
her.
her? Oh my
yeah,
God.
Yeah, but like we're just being cute,
Okay.
Let me ask you this, if you've been dating, do you notice a difference in dating culture?
I think people here are more willing to meet up with you.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe because there is that big cue card a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just more casual to meet up for a coffee.
Right.
You don't need to have like a glamorous dinner and take me out for this
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like-
I agree with that. Yeah.
And you could just hang out, have coffee, and just share things. Maybe make friends, right?
Yeah, people are really open to that. Yeah, and that's why when you asked me about making friends here, I did say like dating apps.
Yeah.
Because you know, you can end up having just a platonic friendship with someone you match with.
Can you match with guys on there and make guy friends? Or is it
Can
just-
you? I think there's those options
Oh.
on the apps.
You,
but,
okay, you have to
you
change
know,
the settings.
That's cool if you do that. Yeah, you just make the setting
Okay.
to BFF or something like that on Bumble. We're not sponsored by Bumble.
Like, I know pickleball is really, really big here. It's like the second largest.
Yeah, I think I'm the last person in Vietnam that doesn't play pickleball. Actually.
I tried a few times. I'm terrible at it.
Okay, so
I'm
me
not-
and you. Me
yeah,
and
yeah.
you.
Or if
I'm
any.
not sporty.
Yeah.
I blame my dad.
What about
Maybe
running?
a bookworm.
Running clubs are
Running's
fun.
cool. I would get into running.
Moment where one, you picked up the camera, one decided to be a content creator, and then another moment when you're like, I'm gonna put this down. I just want to throw in the towel. I'm over it.
It was very organic and kind of accidental for me becoming a content creator. I never set out to do that other than when I tried to do a travel couple thing, what I told you about. This has to be interesting content for people. It fell flat every time. It never grew, you know? And I mean, looking back, I don't think they were very good anyways. I switched over to do content for my job. So I was still trying to be a teacher, and I had the idea of opening a school here sometime, you know, eventually. So then I was like, I gotta brand myself. So then I got on TikTok for the first time. I'd never gone on TikTok. And I did a couple videos where I'm just teaching people like, you know, this is how you pronounce this is how you pronounce this, you know? And I had some like goofy ideas. So then I did like, you know, a goofy one, and it went viral.
Which one was that one?
This was a long time ago. This is on my TikTok channel for teaching English only, right? It's teacher Chris Tran on
Okay.
TikTok. It hit me that I was like, oh wow, if I just like, you know, have a fun script, and then like, you know, I did this with my eyebrow, and then I kind of just like, you know, turned my head this way, you know, it hits. I started to hone this kind of like edutainment style. I always knew that you can't just teach, like you have to make it interesting, engaging, fun, you know, for people. When I got to Vietnam, I wasn't trying to be a content creator here. I just made a reel where I told everyone I was in Vietnam. It was like, hey, we moved to Vietnam, the food's great, happy to be here, blah, blah, blah. And then it blew up. I remember like the very next day posting something that was like kind of like an inside joke for like just my followers who are my friends and family. And then I got like some negative comments on there.
What was it about?
I think it was something about like my experience with a Grab driver or something like that, you know? And somebody was just kind of like, if you don't like it, you know, just leave or something like that, you know? And I was like, who is this? You know, like, oh my God, they're strangers
Your
on my
first hate
account.
comment?
Yeah. I love doing fun reels, you know, I love doing skits. So then I had a bunch of ideas, and then like really quick in my head, you know, like I would know when a reel would hit or not. Or that's not true. Sometimes it didn't. You know, this idea, oh, this will work. And then I just like run into my room and I just make it happen, you know. My experience as a Vietnamese person born in the States, coming to Vietnam, discovering Vietnam, like these aren't like funny skit topics, you know, but I'm like, I don't want to lose my ability to talk about those things just because I'm doing like, you know, skits as an uncle, or like putting on a wig or something like that, you know. So then I would do those too, and they did really well. This is something that I think I've loved since I was a kid, that I didn't get to explore anymore as an adult, you know. You get caught up in the 9 to 5, right?
You lose your
And
creativity.
You lose your creativity, you know? And like, I was like, oh my God, I have all this time to be creative again, to tell stories, make people feel things. And I got really happy about that, you know? And I wanted people to not just laugh, I wanted them to think, you know, maybe cry, you know, with me, you know, with these stories that are very personal to me. And also I wanted to speak, I wanted to have a voice in the community, you know, because I felt really strongly that Vietnamese folks are at a very pivotal time right now. It's a very important time for Vietnamese folks all throughout the world, actually.
You make a lot of different content, and you have a lot of different platforms, a lot going on. How do you not get burned out?
I think you're asking me during a time when I haven't figured it out yet. Like, I did everything that people told me not to do. I hit up some content creators very early in the journey. Shout out to Phúc Map. He told me like, you should just do one platform, man. Like focus on one brand, you know. And I had success with several brands at once, and I was like, I can't let that go, you know. So I just try to do everything, and I burned out like crazy. And 2025 was probably the lowest of the low, you know. And I go back to, I think, the time before I did content creation, where I would say like the peak of my health, physically, mentally, spiritually, was when I was really healthy, fit, like nourished other parts of me, you know, my mental health, my spiritual health, you know. Like I think it's harder to do that for me personally if I'm eating like shit, I'm not sleeping, you know. So I saw that connection. So now I'm getting back into that. I've already noticed a difference. But I would say another really, really big thing for me that is a practice that I had before I started making content was meditation. My teacher told me very early on, you know, meditation is to practice compassion, right? You meditate so that, you know, you could build a buffer for your thinking, your mind, where you have like some space where you don't react, right? So when you meditate a lot, what happens? You sit there, you just focus on your breath, right? And what's gonna naturally happen, your mind is gonna wander. Your mind is gonna jump to this, jump to that, and then you just gently bring it back, right? The practice is to not get frustrated, to not be hard on yourself, to not push it away, right? You know, aggressively, right? You just gently bring your mind back to your breath. And it's basically a gym for your mind. And what you're doing is you're choosing to go back to peace, right? You're choosing to gently bring your focus back to, you know, yourself, you know, bringing your mind back to your body, right? And when you do that, I think over time, you're able to not react, right? When you get out there and then you interact with the world, you're able to choose, instead of anger, you choose peace, you know, instead of judgment, you choose non-judgment, right? Instead of being hard on yourself, you choose, you know, like to be calm, right? To forgive yourself, right? And even though it sounds so simple, it is like one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
When you sit there and you're confronted with your emotions, your feelings, and all of that, and what you're doing is just letting it be there, you know, like forgiving yourself, forgiving others, and, you know, dealing with these like really tough emotions and then transforming them, you know, transforming anger into love, right? Transforming shame into love, right? So it is deeply profound. And I kind of, I just stopped doing it, you know? Like I got so caught up in like content creation and all of this. And like, I was like, it's okay. I'll just like be more mindful throughout my day. That's my meditation, you know? But just the last 2 weeks, man, getting back into it, waking up and like sitting on the mat and giving myself like 10, 15 minutes to do it. For example, if you're in an environment that's toxic, if you're in a toxic relationship, you're in a place that's toxic, or your work is toxic, you don't just meditate your way through that. You shouldn't do that. You know, it's not like mind over matter, like, you know, you can just go through anything. No. You need to remove yourself.
Gotta use some logic too.
From that. You need to put yourself in a safe place, take care of yourself. You know, it's not a panacea. You know, you don't tell people like who are going through really, really challenging things like, oh yeah, just meditate. You know, that's not what meditation is either. You should never tell people that, right? There's other more, like you said, logical things to do first to take care of yourself.
What type of like food are you consuming for your body to like nourish it? And living in Vietnam.
I know that sugar is a thing that I really gotta stay away from.
Oh really? You love sugar, huh?
I have a crazy sweet tooth. And what's funny is I've noticed that, you know, when Vietnamese people eat desserts, the number one compliment is not too sweet, right?
Yeah.
All our parents will say that. It's like, oh, this is really good. It's not too sweet. But they put sugar in everything else. Like, especially in Southern Vietnamese cuisine, there's so much sugar in all the soup and like all of the rice dishes and like all of that stuff. Even the potato chips, man, when you buy chips that are like, even like American brands like Lay's here, you know, the chips taste sweet.
Oh,
You know,
really?
there's like a sweet
Oh,
flavor to it. You
okay.
know, so I think it's sugar is something that I'm like really trying to be aware of. You know, just my blood sugar spiking and stuff like that, and not eating like a bunch of carbs like late at night. You know, now I'm not doing intermittent fasting anymore. I used to do intermittent fasting for many years, but now I wake up and I have like protein right away. You know, I'll just do like 2 boiled eggs and maybe a banana or something like that, and then I'll have my coffee. Yeah. So I used to do like just straight, super strong black coffee on an empty stomach. I learned not to do that anymore. Have some protein, not right away. You know, usually after my meditation session.
I think we got to see different sides of Chris that maybe isn't really on your content so much, right? And it's very vulnerable. It's very personal. It's also part of like what I want to share
Yeah.
in my page is that for men to kind of like talk about like their struggles they're going through. That
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't have to kind of bottle things up. Unhealthy for us, and then maybe it spills out to like other parts of our life as well.
Yeah.
So just trying to create a safe space for people to like just be real, create brotherhood, and like we're all struggling. Let's talk about it, and then we'll find a solution. But we're not alone. Is essentially is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
put out there.
No, absolutely
you
not.
need brotherhood.
You need brothers.
You need somebody just like, hey, Joe, can we talk? I got something going on. Like, yeah, sure. And you don't want to like talk too much about your problems to your partner, this and that, because
Yeah.
you know they want to see you strong too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I would say more than anything in Vietnam, you know, when men come here, they need healthy, positive men's groups here. There's a lot of distractions here for Vietnamese men who come here. You know, a lot of things that they can get caught up in. You know, I mean, anyone walking down Bui Vien would know what I'm talking about, right? So, like, more than anything, like, men need healthy groups where they could share, you know, and like get support from their brothers. So I really appreciate this. It's
Yeah.
really, really amazing what you're doing.
It's like I want to do this online, but maybe you and I can do something offline here. While
Absolutely.
we're
Would
both
love
here.
to.
We can create a community here, and you know, get together, do some physical stuff, or just like hang out, share
Physical
things.
stuff?
Yeah, whatever physical stuff you guys want to do. If he buys me the right coffee, you know, like if he picks up his game, you know, he needs a better pickup line.
Need to work on it.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you, Chris, and yeah, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, brother.